Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Most people think marketing is about getting attention, but attention is easy. The real challenge is connection, saying something that actually lands and builds trust and also move people to act. Today's guest is Rachel Allen. She spent nearly 2 decades helping businesses around the world turn words into real results, blending data, psychology, and storytelling in a way most people completely overlook. Okay, so Rachel, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to chat with you.
All right, so heads up, we're diving a little bit into your 20s, right? So
hmm
take me back to that moment in Hong Kong, right? What led you there? And how did things get to the point where you had to figure it out from scratch?
Mm. Well, I have to rewind us back a little bit further. So I went to university for journalism, but then I graduated into the 2008 recession, and of course, nobody was hiring anybody.
Mm.
So I was 22, and I decided that I should probably try to get as far away from Tennessee as I could. And it turns out that that place is Hong Kong. So I bought a plane ticket and I left, and I landed in Hong Kong with about $200 in my bank account, and I had to make
Wow.
rent. And so I'm Googling like how to make money online. And I ended up finding this freelance writing job. And I took it, and I was pretty sure it would be a scam, but it actually wasn't. And I was just hooked. So I ended up forming a business off of that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I must say, I must say your story is one of bravery, right? It takes a whole lot of willpower and bravery to actually just decide to live where you are, go to
Mm,
somewhere else with little amount of money, right?
yeah.
So that was, oh, wow. I don't think anyone would want to do that now, but then you did
No.
it.
I mean, I wouldn't want to do it now. I think people always talk about like, oh, that story is so cool. And I'm like, yeah, it's really cool now, but it was mostly terrifying while it was happening.
Exactly. Right. So, wow. Okay. I'm saying you're actually a brave person to do that. And when you first discovered copywriting, you thought it was a scam, like you said. So what changed your mind?
They actually paid me. It was only $3.25, but they paid me.
Okay, so the moment they paid you, you realized, oh, okay, it wasn't scam, right? So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I was like, this is great. I can write all day.
Wow. Okay, so actually looking back, what did your 20s teach you about risk, survival, and figuring things out?
Oh, that is such a good question. I
Mm.
think I think it taught me that risks are very rarely as risky as we perceive them to be. Um, and that no matter what happens, when you're in that moment, when things have gone wrong, or when you find that the risk, that you've taken hasn't paid off, or something bad is happening, it's never as bad in that moment as you think it's going to be when you're afraid of it, like before it happens, if that makes sense. Like when you actually get there, it's like, well, this kind of sucks, but I guess I'm going to figure something out. And you do.
Mm. Wow. Okay. So usually it's the fear of it that makes it seem like it's so bad, right? But
Yeah.
when you're living in the moment, it's never really as bad as it seems, right?
Yeah, very, very rarely. I've only had a couple of situations where, that were truly bad. But mostly it's, you get there and I don't know, in my case, I've had to eat beans and rice for a couple weeks while I was waiting for money to come in. Or I was in a country with somebody else and my residency visa was tied to his. We were in a relationship and then we broke up. And so I had to leave the country because of our breakup. And like, that was pretty bad, but also you figure it out.
Exactly. Well, okay. We always have it figured out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, talking about marketing today, right? Marketing that actually works. You describe your work as both data-driven and human-centered. So how do those two actually come together?
Mm. So I think people tend to think that they're separate when really we all combine these things all the time. It's important to have the numbers data so that you can actually see what's happening and get some objective benchmarks on what you're doing. But also, if all you have is that, you're ignoring like half of the human experience. So a lot of times I'll have clients come to me and they'll say like, well, I really want to increase my LinkedIn following. I'm like, okay, that's great. We can totally do that. But if you actually want to be happy with the results, I have to understand why you want to increase your LinkedIn following. And then we have to look at the human side of that as well. It's like, do you just want to be popular? Okay, that's a completely different strategy than I really need to sell something. So you have to include both sides. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy either result.
Hmm. Wow. Okay, so it's important to include both sides, right?
Mm.
So, talking about what separates marketing that performs from marketing that just looks good, right? So, what do you think separates those two?
I mean, part of it is what we just talked about is the data, right? Like
Yeah.
actually tracking it because I know a whole lot of people who try to market based on vibes, and yeah, that's just not a strategy. So you have to have a good strategy. You can't just go out there and feel really popular because I think you and I have both seen a lot of marketing strategies where somebody does something and they've got like 1 million followers, but nobody's actually buying anything. So at that point, they're basically just paying to perform for people, and that's not a business.
Exactly. Wow. The example you just gave right now, which is having a whole lot of followers and they are not selling anything. What the
Hmm.
person was able to get was fame, but you did not really, put your business out there or your market out there. You were only just able to get fame, right? So,
Hmm.
I would like to ask, right? So, how important is positioning, and why do you think it's so overlooked?
Uh, so positioning, I mean, it's the foundation of any kind of sales and marketing. And if you don't have it right, then nothing else works. And I don't know why people overlook it, but I've never seen anybody really teach it very well in marketing. So that's why I do. But if you don't have your positioning right, and let me just actually like clarify what positioning is, just in case people aren't familiar. Your positioning is the story that other people tell about you. So
Hmm.
it's what you're really doing and why they care. And so, if you don't have that right, if you're not controlling that story, then people are going to make up a story about you, and it's probably going to be really, really weird. And so that's why you get like people who come and talk to you and don't buy, or people who want to be your best friend, but they never actually want to buy from you. Or even worse, you sign people up as clients, and then they realize they hate you because you don't actually do what they thought in your head, in their
Wow.
heads. And so
Yeah.
you got to
Uh,
have that clear from the beginning.
right. So positioning is actually very important, right?
Yeah, it's everything.
It's everything, honestly, like you said. Right. So talking about psychology and connection and also messaging, right? So
Mhm.
you've worked across industries and countries. Are there any universal patterns in what makes people say yes?
Oh, that is such a good question, and no one has ever asked me. Thank you so much. Um,
Oh,
there
I'm
are.
just good, right?
So it turns out that there are a couple of universal things. One, it comes from the foundation of we're all humans, right? Like ultimately, we tend to care about the same basic things, no matter where you live or what culture you're from or what your family looks like or whatever. So there's a quote, I think it was by E.B. White, and it says something like, at the end of the day, all anybody wants to do is eat some bread and kiss somebody they love. And I'm like, yeah, that's universal. So as far as things that make people say yes, it's always the answer to these two questions, which is how do they need to feel and what do they need to know before they can say yes? And you have to address them in that order because we feel faster than we think.
Wow. Okay, so like you just said, what do you think are the biggest mistakes people make when, writing about themselves or their business?
Mm. Oh gosh, I think the number one mistake I see when people are writing about themselves is they write about themselves to themselves as opposed to their audience. And they think that, well, if this is the way that I need to hear the message, then that's the way everybody needs to hear it, of course. And that doesn't work because they're not, they're not you. They don't care about the same things you care about. Um, and I think another one is trying to appeal to too many people. So, a lot of times you like people might write something and then they're like, oh, that might be a bit controversial or that might be a bit whatever. And then they try to tone it down or they try to sound like somebody else. And then the humanity in it's lost and there's no point in even saying it at all because no one's going to remember.
Wow. Okay, so I think at this point, right, authenticity is very important.
Mm,
Right. It's just the best way to go about it. Just be authentic about, writing about yourself. So yeah,
yes.
okay, so I want to ask this one, right? And I feel like it's going to be very important to my listeners, although everything so far you've said are important, right? So if someone wanted to improve their communication today, what is one thing they should focus on immediately?
Mm. The thing I always tell everybody to do first off is to update their bio because people tend to write it once and then they forget about it and then it's super outdated, but also like it feels weird to write about yourself. So you're like, oh, I don't want to. But like that's the first thing anybody reads about you if they're serious about possibly working with you or getting to know you or buying into your cause. So it really needs to be good.
Wow. I think you just spoke to me directly.
I know everybody cringes when I say it, so I'm like,
Oh my
sorry, internet.
God. It's fine. I mean, now I think I'm gonna put that in my to-do list. I need to go
Yeah.
update my bio immediately. Right. Okay,
Well,
so
I teach a free workshop on it. I'm happy to drop the link for your listeners so that they can watch the recording and it had like a template and everything so they can easily update their bios.
all right, wow, I would love that actually. I'm gonna put the
Okay,
link.
great.
I'll put it in the show notes. Talking
Perfect.
about communication, right? I just remembered a conversation I had with a guest, right? And I asked him what skill does he think we need to work on to, be able to thrive in our current economy, especially where AI is taking over. And
Mm,
then he mentioned communication, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about that actually?
I mean, I think communication is an absolutely key skill.
Hmm.
Particularly, let me think about how I want to phrase that. I think communication, in combination with strategic thinking and problem solving,
Hmm.
because it's I see a lot of people turn to tools like AI, which are very useful for some things, but not useful for other things.
Hmm.
And they kind of want to turn their brains off and just be like, oh, I don't want to take responsibility for this, or I don't want to make this decision. This seems really hard. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of part of being human. And so the businesses that I see really thriving are the ones that are based on this very human combination of communication and strategy and being able to deal with randomness and curveballs and chaos.
Hmm. Okay. All right. Wow. Thank you so much for that, actually. It's
Mhm.
such an interesting take. Not just
Yeah.
communication, but like you said, strategic thinking, right? So, talking about AI, right, like I've mentioned earlier, you said AI isn't just about tech, but about
Mhm.
the pace of change. So what do
Mm.
you actually mean by that?
Yeah. So there was a thinker named Ray Kurzweil who
Mm,
postulated a theory in the 90s about the pace of change in the 20th century. And the theory is that we will experience the same amount of change in every 10 years that we did in the last century. So, like, massive increase in the pace of change, which our bodies and our nervous systems are not super well equipped to keep up with. It's just too much information. And so, when I see people get really anxious about AI or they'll talk about, I always joke about like in the internet apocalypse because, as soon as AI happened, everybody's like, oh no, it's over, go home. Nobody can make money on the internet anymore. And I'm like, come on, this has happened forever. But I think what's really going on there is anxiety about the pace of change and being left behind or being unable to keep up or simply not really knowing what the future might hold.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Rachel, for that
Yeah.
actually. And finally, although I'm not sure, something might come up again, right? So where do you see marketing and communication heading in the next few years?
Mm. I see it splitting in two ways. I
Hmm,
see lower priced offers becoming more and more automated.
hmm,
Um, and I see high touch offers becoming much more analog, much more human, much more like stuff you can touch with your hands. And I mean, we're already seeing this. Anybody who's selling something high ticket right now that I'm working with, they're doing things like sending handwritten notes to their clients and producing magazines that people get in the mail. So things that take time, things that can't be automated, and things that take actual thought. Because bizarrely, humanity has become almost like a status symbol of like, oh no, I value you enough that I took the time to inconvenience myself. And that's what's selling the more expensive stuff right now.
wow. Hmm, okay, thank you so much, Rachel. This has been amazing, actually. Conversations like this are always so important, especially for young adults who are trying to, gain clarity about life and also marketing and businesses, basically. So, finally, I want you to talk to someone out there, most especially young adults, right, who are
Mm,
trying to build something and struggling to stand out. So, what
mm,
is that one shift they need to make in how they communicate?
mm. I'm gonna say make it weird.
Hmm,
Like, be as you can possibly be, whatever that looks like. So many times I see people trying to adopt the personality of somebody that they admire or somebody that they think is successful. And it just never really works because you're not them. But if you can figure out what you genuinely care about, if you can become aware of phrases and things that you say over and over again, if you can really connect to your own tone and the way in which you need to connect with people. So, like, for instance, I barely do any broadcast social media, but I'm on a ton of podcasts because I like talking to people one on one, and that works for me. So find the channel that works for you. Focus on one, absolute maximum three, but really one, and be as you and as weird and as just like yourself as you possibly can be, because that's the only way to stand out. I've said it for years. Human is the only move left. So the more human you can be, the more you'll stand out.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Rachel. I must say this has been amazing. And your words, they've touched me, right? It's something I would have to, go and rethink and just, try to make better conscious decisions, right? So
Oh,
yeah.
well, thank you so much. I've loved this. You've asked me one of my favorite questions anyone has ever asked me. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad I did actually. So okay.
Yeah.
Moving to the final segment of my podcast is called the rapid fire segment.
hmm
Right. So starting now, would you prefer clarity or creativity?
Ooh, I think true creativity is clarity. So clarity.
Okay, all right. Data or instinct?
Mm. Oh, these are really hard. Um, okay, I think instinct because without instinct, you can't understand the data.
Okay. Attention or trust?
Trust, 100%.
100%. All right. So what is one word that describes your early journey?
Ooh. Chaotic.
Okay. Okay. And yes, finally, right, what is one word that describes how you work now?
Hmm. Incandescent.
Hmm, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. That makes sense actually.
Yeah, I like that.
All right, Rachel. Thank you so much for this amazing. Yes, where can listeners to learn more about you, connect with you, and know more about your work?
Oh, people can find me at boltfromthebluecopywriting.com or connect with me on LinkedIn.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Rachel. And to my listeners, thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, make sure to share to someone who you like this and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. This has been amazing. And yes, I'll connect with you on LinkedIn after this. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Okay. Do have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.